For my last one, I'm going to take a little bit of a shot on a plus 125. Vikings to score more than 3.5 touchdowns in what I think is going to be a shootout between the Seahawks and the Vikings. Let's rewind 1 week, KC. Seahawks go up against the Tennessee Titans. A lot of similarities between what Tennessee wants to do offensively and what Minnesota wants to do offensively. They both got a big bruising back, Derrick Henry and Dalvin Cook. They both have 2 alpha receivers, Julio Jones and A.J. Brown, Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson. They have offenses that use a lot of play action. They have efficient, accurate quarterbacks, Ryan Tannehill and Kirk Cousins. And so I think the Vikings can look at what the Titans did in the second half of that game, really getting blitzed by Seattle. And I don't mean literally blitzed by the defense, but I mean they were just getting run out of the field, run out of the stadium by Seattle in the first half. And then they got back to their play action game. They end up coming back from a 15-point halftime deficit, forcing overtime and winning that game. And Derrick Henry gets all the credit, which, you know, he certainly should. He had a 60-yard touchdown run. He had 3 touchdowns in that second half. But Ryan Tannehill got back to being the Ryan Tannehill we've come to expect from Tennessee. Completed 16 to 22 passes, 176 yards, 8 yards per attempt. A lot of efficiency, made some big plays down the field. We saw Julio Jones get going. It all adds up to a blueprint that I think the Vikings can follow. And then you look on the other side of this game, what gives you any confidence that the Vikings are going to slow down Russell Wilson in this passing game? I mean, they have looked bad again this season, and we wanted to give Mike Zimmer the benefit of the doubt coming into this year because he is a great defensive coach, and we just never see bad defenses from him. We saw it last year, but it was easy to hand wave it, say it was a weird season, say every coach is, allowed to have one bad year in what is his specialty. They had a lot of injuries. Minnesota did as well on the defensive side of the ball last year, so they get those guys back. They bring in a couple of reinforcements, and it has still just been ugly for this team this season. So I don't see why they would suddenly turn it around against Russell Wilson with what that team has done through the first couple of weeks of the season. So I expect a high-scoring game here, and I think the Vikings can keep pace. I actually like the Vikings a little bit, catching 1.5 at home in this game, but I think it's because of what their offense can do in this one. So I'll take the plus money. It's at plus 125. If this was, even just plus 105, I'm probably staying away from it. But plus 125 is a juicy enough number for me to say, you know what, the Vikings can find the end zone 4 times in this one. I think they can keep pace with Seattle. Seattle's going to force them to keep pace and get this game into the 30s. I like the Vikings quite a bit here.
Yeah, it's another one of those situations where both these teams are playing defense badly enough to where you think a shootout is necessary. And Mike Zimmer doesn't want to get in a shootout. Doesn't have a choice. His defense is just that. When your defense is that bad, if your defense is that bad and you try to play the low-scoring game, you're going to lose. I mean, you have to get into a shootout in that instance. And the thing is, Seattle is kind of in the same boat. I don't think that they necessarily want to get into shootout games or want to get into high-scoring games, but they go vertical. In fact, DK Metcalf, I did a study for my athletic article that comes out every Monday, and where I look at the fantasy how fantasy things went for teams past week, and DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, thank you. They both, if you look at their vertical receiving numbers, they're both getting targeted deep a lot, and they're both having a lot of success. Lockett's doing better, and Metcalf's going to catch up. But the point is that they're still doing a ton of vertical passing, and that's something that they were doing early last year, and then they changed their minds and said, we're going to try and play more close to the vest. I don't think that they're in a situation where they can play close to the vest either. So if you get into a shootout contest, 4 touchdowns is very doable.
Yeah, Pete Carroll and Mike Zimmer might want to play low-scoring games, both of them. But unless they contact like Bill Belichick and Sean Payton, 2 coaches who are facing off against one another, and say, let's just trade our entire teams. We'll give you our 53, you give us your 53. I don't think they're going to be playing in very many low-scoring games. The personnel is the personnel, and Minnesota and Seattle are 2 good offensive teams, 2 bad defensive teams. I like the Vikings to be able to keep pace and score those 4 touchdowns.